Welcome, everyone. Apologize. We had a technical glitch on the last podcast that I was attempting to do. So I don't know if you're jumping on from the old one or starting over. But anyway, that is not cool. Anyway, this is the New Health Conversation podcast. We're going to be discussing why diets are failing us. With 80% of America overweight and 50% obese and 50% pre-diabetic, I don't really think anybody thinks that diets are actually working. So you're going to get a chance to really see medical proof, not opinions. We don't give you opinions at the New Health Conversation. So welcome everyone to the New Health Conversation. If you were on before, I apologize. We had a technical glitch, so I had to go out and start all over again. But anyway, I invite all of you to sit back and take in the medical proof. We don't give you opinions at the New Health Conversation. To give you a little background on myself, not to impress you, but impress upon you, I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. I've written 4 best-selling books. I've appeared 20 times on PBS, and I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. And during the first 20 years of my career in the medical world, that meant zero, meant nothing. It was an opinion. And with all due respect, all the providers that you're seeing, they're giving you opinions. But I haven't seen anyone present real medical proof. We only produce medical proof. So not only are we going to show you traditional diets and the real truth behind what's really going on, would it shock you to know if you go on a traditional diet by lowering calories, it creates 2 of the most unhealthy things you could ever do to yourself long term. We're going to contrast that with 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies that are for a non-diet. This research, after 38 years of looking at every diet out there, they feel they found the silver bullet. These are the number one weight loss researchers in the world, not me. I'm bringing you the research, okay? So one of the things at any point during this, you can go to the New Health Conversation. It's our website. If you go there, I promise you, we will not contact you. We don't do that. We let you go and see the medical evidence. And if you like what you see, then we give you the opportunity for you to sign up for a free consultation, not somebody on an 800 number, not bait and switch, not trying to convince you of anything, because we don't know anything about you. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight? What's your primary focus? So at any point, you can go to that website, the New Health Conversation, and see the medical proof that I'm going to share with you today, both on traditional diets and also on diets, on this new breakthrough that is not a diet. So again, this is the New Health Conversation. We're discussing today why diets are failing us. Again, with 80% of America overweight and 50% obese and 50% of Americans pre-diabetic, meaning half of you on this podcast are pre-diabetic, maybe you don't even know it. But with 80% of America overweight, honestly, does anybody really believe that if you go on a diet today, that a year from now, you're going to weigh less than you do now? Because the evidence is it proves that that's not the case, okay? These are medical studies, some of them 12 months or longer, just proving that, yeah, initially you lose weight on any diet, but what you're losing is your lean muscle mass. And that creates 2 of the most unhealthy things that you don't want to have happen to you. Number 1, see, the whole concept around lowering calories to lose weight, despite what all the influencers are telling you, with all due respect, medical doctors, chiropractors, dietitians, nutritionists, fitness trainers, weight loss gurus, right? But if any of it worked, it's impossible. You couldn't have 80% of America overweight. It'd be impossible. But you got to also understand it's getting worse and worse and worse. To give you an idea, like 80% are overweight, but 50% are obese. But in 2018, just 6 years ago, 42% were overweight. That means almost a 25% increase in obesity in just 6 years. And yet, do we not have, go to Barnes & Noble. There's so many diets. They got whole sections on diets. I mean, the Cornish diet, the Zone diet, lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, South Beach diet. I mean, on and on and on. Do any of them work? No. You can't have 80% of America overweight and then 50% of those people obese. So again, everyone, thanks for joining us at the New Health Conversation podcast. This is what we're discussing, why diets are failing us. Now, a shameless plug for me, I actually wrote a best-selling book about this in 2010. I think you can see it here, Why Diets Are Failing Us. Well, that's an appropriate title. That's what we're going to talk about today. But again, I'm not telling you to impress you, but I want to impress upon you. I've written 4 best-selling books with medical doctors. 2 of my other books, 2 of my other 4 books, the TDOS syndrome. That is a registered trademark U.S. patent office, not a copyright. It's a big deal. So what is TDOS? Well, the T is for toxicity, the D is for deficiency, the O is for being overweight, and the S is for stress. One of the things you're going to find that will shock you, the toxins are a huge part of why 80% of America is overweight. No diet has ever been proven to assist our own body in removing chemicals from it. Though the third book I wrote is the TDOS Solutions, which is what we're going to be really talking about today. And then the fourth book that came out is called Your Third Brain. I wrote it with I know you can't see him, but he's one of the top oncologists in the world and a molecular biologist, okay? So you have to understand, with all this academia, 20 shows on PBS. So I need No, okay, well, you want to talk about the shot? We can talk about the shot right now, as long as we're getting warmed up. Okay, so again, let's look at medical evidence about the shot, okay? Can you all read that? The New England Journal of Medicine conducted a study, 68 weeks on the shot, 68 weeks. Okay, now again, I'm not against the shots, let's be clear. If you want to do the shot, go for it, but understand what the outcomes were. After 68 weeks, the weight loss was 34 pounds in 68 weeks. But in the study, right in here, it clearly says 40% of what they lost on the shot was lean muscle mass. Talk to people that are stopping the shot. They're gaining back as much as a half a pound a day. So unless you can stay on the shot for the rest of your life, it looks like, now it's helping, don't get me wrong, it's helping diabetics that are obese. But again, like with anything else in any drug, there's the plus and then there are the side effects, okay? Now let's contrast that with these 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies which are on a diet. These people with no exercise, they lost 16 pounds in 30 days. And instead of losing any lean muscle, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. I mean, and the whole calories in, calories out thing, we're gonna deal with that right now, okay? Again, for everyone just joining us, we're talking about why diets are failing us. Now let's talk about this myth around calories in, calories out. So here's the first article, why you shouldn't count calories, okay? Not my opinion, I'm just giving you the research, right? They said, truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. They say, what's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories will gain back more weight than they lost. This is the result of the medical world waking up and taking a look and saying, no, wait a minute. We got 80% of America. We have more diets than ever. Something's terribly wrong. But let's not rely just on one article. Let's go to Harvard Medical School. Don't bother counting. Yeah. Here, hold on just one second. I'm sorry. I got confused. Here's the study. Sorry, Harvard Medical School. What did they say? Stop counting calories. Listen to this. This idea of calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. There's no unoriginal or reproduced content. Everything that's here is from in the public record. It's absolutely, it's in the public record. So let's just talk about the fact that anything that we're giving you in the New Health Conversation is based only on facts. No opinions. We're not giving you any claims, okay? Now let's go and look at some of the big diets. Let's look at time-restricted eating, okay? Time-restricted eating, this was a big study done in the Journal of the American Medical Association. What they said was this. The JAMA study said the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8, popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds, but most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. There's your downfall to all these diets. Now let's go to the New England Journal of Medicine. Let's take a look at a 12-month study, one group of people lowering calories, the other group of people doing time-restricted eating. What did they find? After 12 months, the people that lowered calories lost a total of 16 pounds, where the people that did time-restricted eating lost 12.6 pounds. That's in a year, ladies and gentlemen, but let's look at this. Right in the study, what does it say? Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass, okay? Everything we're sharing with you at the New Health Conversation is based only on medical evidence. We're not giving you, it's not original material. It's in the public record. Any of you can go there, you can look it up. There's nothing to hide. We're not trying to trick anybody, etc. You can be in a position to completely change everything you ever thought about diet, exercise, and nutrition. You can also see our website there, the New Health Conversation. You can go there at any time and you can see all the medical proof, both for traditional diets, which we've been going over with you, and also on these 7 new peer-reviewed human trial studies, okay? Now, I'm going to go over this a few times. So the big question I always get is, in these studies, what was so different? What was different is they really weren't looking for weight loss. They didn't anticipate that. What they were looking for was a way, could they assist the human body in removing chemicals that are stored inside our fat cells? They're actually stored in what's called our belly fat, called our visceral fat. So we know that the air, the water, the food is loaded with chemicals, whether you know it or not. As those chemicals enter our body, the body takes them and stuffs them inside our fat cells. So they were able to measure through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis in this protocol, was this assisting the body? Because it's the body that can remove the chemicals, not some process, okay? Well, what they found was that herbicides, pesticides, PCBs were removed from the body, and evidenced by the fact that the visceral fat, the belly fat, with no exercise allowed, shrank by 33%, 33% in 8 weeks with no exercise. Well, the other thing that happened was that people ended up losing as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. And they also lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and even inflammation in just 30 days. Hunger went down by 41%. So what in the world did they do? Well, they did 4 things. Number one, the first thing they did was they said, wait a minute, we can't rely just on regular food. So they limited the amount of food people bought from the grocery store to about 40% of what people would normally buy. That was part one. Part two, they went and found 5 food groups from around the world, from as far away as Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet in the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. Why? Because our food in this country is becoming increasingly bankrupt of nutrition, right? So now what did they do? They had the ingredients, 40% from the grocery store and 60% from these foods from around the world. Then they did 2 unique things. One, they used a new approach called protein pacing. It has nothing to do with like time-restricted eating. It has nothing to do with like eat when you're hungry, okay? And what are they able to do? They were able to get people to lose as much weight, like I said, in 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet. But what were the processes? How did they do that? What did the people consume? Well, the protein pacing, oh, wait, is it, I'm not sure, is it what? But anyway, they were able to do this new protocol called protein pacing. And the other thing that they did, which is really brand new, was called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating. It was nutritionally supported fasting. It's really, I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but what they had going for them was the foods they found from around the world didn't require very many calories at all to produce huge amounts of nutrition. See, that's our Achilles heel in this country. When people go on diets, they lower calories, but they ignore the fact that one of the things that happens is that they're unable to get enough nutrition. And when you don't have enough nutrition, the body basically goes in starvation mode and shuts down your ability to burn calories. That's exactly what's going on. Evidenced by the fact that in all the studies that are out there, in every study that's out there, people are losing lean muscle mass. They just are. It's not up for debate. So the point being that this is new research, it's new evidence that we now have that we didn't have before. Because all the research up to this point for, well, almost 40 years has been centered around different ways to kind of trick the body by lowering calories, whether it was keto or paleo or Mediterranean or the Cornish diet or the zone diet or lose weight for your blood type, all these different diets. But do they actually work? With 80% of people overweight and 50% are obese. The cool thing is you can actually go to our website. I'm going to type it up here for you. The New Health Conversation. There you go. The New Health Conversation. You can go there and see the medical proof. There's no opinions there. It's all the medical proof, right? And then if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free consultation. I mean free. We don't mess around. I'm not aware of anybody else on social media that's offering you free consultations. And why do we do that? Not to trick you, not to bait and switch you, not to convince you. We don't need to convince you. We have the scientific proof on our side. And if you really believe in science, maybe you want to go to that website and see for yourself what's really going on. What's the reality, not opinions. There's lots and lots of opinions out there. You can follow whoever you want to follow. But what's the real outcome? At the end of the day, what's really going on as far as any and all of these diets? Well, unfortunately, we now know that, no, keto, no, sorry. Again, let me give you the scientific proof, okay? So just to give you an idea for keto, this was a study done by the Journal of the American Medical Association, 48 different studies, including keto and paleo. And they actually named all the big diets. The title of the study was Comparison of Weight Loss Among Named Diet Programs, okay? So this was 12 months. They looked at 48 different studies, not just one study, and 7,286 people on every diet conceivable. They named them keto, paleo, right here, right in the study. So nothing I'm making up, right? So what was the result? When they looked at the most amount of weight loss versus the least amount of weight loss in 12 months, the only difference was about 10 ounces in a year. And what was the average, what was the weight loss, whether it was keto, paleo, about 16 pounds in a year, and about 40% of the weight loss was lean muscle mass. Keto, again, it's a diet. Here's the thing I want you all to not my opinion, but let's look at the medical experts. What are they seeing about any of these diet programs where, whether it's keto or it's some form of lowering calories at the end of the day? So right here, this is Harvard Medical School. This isn't Peter Greenlaw telling you this. Now, you may not want to believe it, but science has no judgment. It doesn't have emotions like me. So here's from Harvard. What did they say? Stop counting calories. They said, the idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, says Stanford, it's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on improving what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're consuming. And again, keto, it's like, at the end of the day, it's like everything else. But let's look at the number. How about the number one diet? 7 years in a row. I have it right here, the study. The Mediterranean diet blows away the keto diet, paleo, supposedly. It's the number one diet 7 years in a row, okay? So you would think this is going to be very dramatic, right? In the study, in Preventative Medicine Reports, an 8-month study on Mediterranean diet, what was the weight loss? 10.2 pounds in 8 months. I mean, you lose weight initially on any of these diets, of course. No, actually counting macros, Mel, sorry. Not even in the same zip code. Sorry, not even on the same planet, okay? What I'm saying to you is all these studies, whether it was macros, whether it was fasting, it all came out about the same at the end. They lost about 16 pounds in a year, and 40% of their weight loss was lean muscle. Now let's contrast with these studies, which are not diets. The people in these studies consume more calories than the people in any of these other diets. These people lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of macros, fasting, whatever. And instead of losing lean muscle, which is the case on all these diets, including macros, they gain 6 to 9% lean muscle. I know it's hard for you to wrap your head around it. It's hard. The researchers were shocked, but it's not a diet. It's a detox. And they have the proof. They did blood, stool. It's 7. There's 7 peer-reviewed. These aren't clinical studies. These aren't scientific papers. These are peer-reviewed human trial studies in the biggest medical journals in the world. After almost 40 years of research, the researchers said, we've looked at every one of those. We've looked at macros. We've looked at carbohydrate counting. We've looked at everything. And every time people lost weight initially. But the weight they were losing was lean muscle mass. This isn't my opinion. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just giving you, yes, that's exactly right. What institution? Okay, Jack, it's not an institution that ran the trials, okay? Do you understand, for those that don't know, it sounds like you do, Jack, so let me clarify. When you submit for a peer-reviewed human trial study, if you're the researchers submitting the work, you have to give up all your rights. Because the reason you won't find, why are none of these other influences that you're seeing on social media, why aren't they showing you peer-reviewed human trial studies? Because once you give up the right and you submit it to someone like the Obesity Journal, one of the biggest, most prestigious journals in the entire world, they determine if your work's worthy of publication. They don't review it. They send it out to other world-class experts who have only one job, and that's to discredit what you're proving. That's why, for example, no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial. Not on mice, not on rats, not a clinical study, not in a petri dish, okay? Not anecdotal evidence, right? But the problem with that is if those researchers find that what you're claiming is not real or accurate or it's false, they publish that. So it has nothing, you lose total control once you submit for a peer-reviewed human trial study. And this isn't one journal, this is 7. I'll read them to you. The Obesity Journal, the Nutrition Journal, the Frontiers in Nutrition, Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, and the #1 journal in the world right here, Nature Communications. It'd be one thing, you could even say that if there were, so they had to pass the scrutiny of 7 different review boards and 7 different sets of peer reviewers around the world. And what they found, no one's ever seen before in 40 years. With all due respect, whether it's keto or paleo or Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem or fasting or lose weight for your blood type, it's not even in the same zip code. And again, at any point, you can go to our website, you can see the proof. It says nothing to make up. Let me give it to you again. So for any of you that are, I would expect you to be skeptical. I mean, I was skeptical, right? You have to understand for 20 years, I wrote 4 best-selling books with major medical doctors. I've worked with some of the top geneticists, molecular biologists, nutraceutical chemists, and researchers in the world. And for 20 years, not one person in the medical community would ever even take a look at this protocol till a year ago. Now these 7 peer-reviewed studies, I mean, doctors left and right they're saying this is unbelievable. As a matter of fact, that's really what they are saying. We're looking at the data and we're blown away. This is not even anywhere in the realm of possibility that we would have believed. Well, yes, you can certainly do that, Balt Wade, but what's the evidence? The evidence is when you come off that, well, it was New England Journal of Medicine did a 68-week study. People lost 34 pounds at 68 weeks, and 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. So, yeah, you can certainly take it for as long as you want to do it. I'm not against it. I don't know why people believe I'm against it. All I'm doing, we only have one job, and that's to make you aware of what's available. We're not here to prejudge your opinions. We don't do that. But you have the incredible opportunity to go to that website, if in fact you want to, and see the peer review, see the medical evidence, both on traditional diets, including the New England Journal of Medicine, including the Journal of the American Medical Association, and see for yourself. Those aren't opinions. You've got to understand when you're talking about a peer-reviewed human trial study, it's irrefutable. It's been reviewed by the top people in the world. It has nothing to do with who submitted the work. It has everything to do with the scrutiny. That's the whole credibility behind these journals. If they did the analysis, they'd lose all their credibility because you could say, well, they were prejudiced or the companies paid them to do the analysis. That's not how it works. I mean, we're in a world of hurt. We have 80% of America overweight and 50%. You don't think people are doing paleo? You don't think they're doing cardio, exercise, diet, the South Beach diet, whatever? It's getting worse. I mean, in 2018, 40% of America was obese. Now it's 6 years later, it's 50%. That's like a 24% increase in 6 years. I mean, the thing is that we've been so, I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but kind of, for how long have we been told that still today, I go on social media every day looking, and what are they all saying? The only way to lose weight is to lower calories. But then you have people like Harvard Medical School that are saying, stop counting calories. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach by emphasizing what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're consuming. Look, you can do whatever you want to do. Okay, you don't have to believe me. But at some point, we have to have some kind of a standard, okay? The standard, no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. I'm not exactly sure about some of the comments. That's okay. Now, let me go over again for some of the new people that just came on. What did they do in the period? What did they do in these medical studies to create the results that no one's ever seen before? Okay. They did 4 things. Number 1, they reduced the amount of food that people were using in the studies. Let me put the website up there again. You can go there and do a free consultation if you want. And then if you like what you see when you go there, you can actually sign up for a free, and I mean free consultation, the new health conversation, all right? So the researchers, after almost 40 years of research, it put people pretty much on everything from, carb counting to macros to fasting to intermittent fasting to Jenny Craig Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, paleo. I mean, in 40 years, you can imagine. That's a good idea, but it's so much more than that, Balt Wade. I mean, to be quite honest with you, way beyond. And that's why I want to explain to you, because here's some things you may not be aware of, okay? So they because in 40 years of research, they realized that when they put people on diets and they lowered the amount of food people were consuming, what else were they losing? Reducing was nutrition. And when you lower nutrition, the body freaks out, goes in starvation mode, breaks your muscles down for fuel. But that's not the worst thing that happens. Because of the loss of lean muscle mass, your body also impacts your own immune system, okay? Now, so they knew that if they just went, it didn't matter what the name of the diet was. At the end of the day, it was some scheme to lower calories. Let's be honest, right? Can anybody put in the chat a diet that's not based on lowering calories? I don't know what it would be. A conventional diet, right? So what they did is they said, okay, we can't rely just on all the 100% of the food from the grocery store. So they limited what people consumed in these medical studies, by the way, to about 40% of the food they normally would get. And then the researchers went all over the world and were able to find 5 food sources from as far away as Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Nepal, in the Himalayas, and Tibet, South America, New Zealand. And those 5 foods had tremendous amounts of nutrition, the same nutrition our food in North America has, but probably 10, 20, 30 times more in terms of the amount of the nutrition in the calories that people were consuming. So that was really critical. Now, for example, yes, increase your fiber. But one of the things that they used was there's 2 different kinds of fiber. There's probiotics, those are good. But the best thing you can have is what's called a prebiotic fiber. Why? Because the prebiotic manufactures good flora in the gut, which is what we want to protect us. It's our immune system, etc. Now, ironically, one of the studies, and I'll come back, I'm not done yet, it was published in this Nature Communication, the #1 journal in the world. One of the things that they proved was the gut by doing this protocol, it's called the gut microbiome, the increase in 30 days was unbelievable. And shameless plug for me, myself and my colleague, we wrote this pretty famous book. My colleague right here is considered probably one of the top oncologists in the world and a molecular biologist. And we wrote the definitive book really on the whole microbiome before any of these studies came out. But now we know that it's having a major impact, this protocol, not just on losing weight and getting your skinny jeans, but all these other things going on that are backed by the medical studies. So the things that we're the most deficient in, okay, number 1 are what are called trace ionic minerals. Now, I'm not talking about iron and calcium, magnesium, okay? According to the experts, we need 70 of these trace ionic minerals. It's basically the periodic table except for plutonium and uranium. You don't want to be ingesting that, right? In the best organic food in the studies, the most amount of anyway, Jack, that's a nice approach, but it pales in comparison to what I'm about to share with you, because here's your problem right away. In the best organic, you're getting 20 out of 70 minerals. And minerals have been called, trace ionic minerals have been called the spark plugs of life, not iron, calcium, magnesium. Okay, so one of the first things that the researchers did, they found a source with all 70 minerals. So your 1/4 cup of starch and that, none of it's bad. But you're starting right on in deficit, okay? Even with the best organic, you're getting 20 out of 70 minerals. But the other thing, it's interesting, you're talking there about protein, okay? So here's one of the things about protein that's Well, that may be great, but again, it's like saying, yeah, you can make a phone call on a rotary telephone. But now we're kind of in an age where we have these things. Because on a rotary telephone, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. Don't hear me say it's bad. I'm just telling you this is the new standard. It's not even close. It's not, it's like that approach you're talking about there. It was studied by if there was a diet approach, they did it. It's worked for the, yeah. Again, again, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of anything. You do whatever you want to do. If you think that's cool, that's great. I'm just relying on peer-reviewed human trial studies, not an opinion. Sorry, we don't work with that, right? But the other thing, and one of the big misnomers out there, is around protein. Now, there's a good part. Protein is the only way we get amino acids in our body. There are 20 amino acids, 9 are called essential, meaning you have to get them from your diet, and the other 11 are called non-essential, total of 20. And how do we don't get amino acids in protein, I'm sorry, in fat or carbohydrates. We get them in protein. So you'll hear them say ingest 120 grams of protein in a day. That sounds great. You think you're getting 120 grams of protein. Well, in Europe, they discovered about 10 years ago a new analysis through fat, blood, stool, and urine analysis of when you ingest a protein from a plant or an animal, they could measure on a scale of 0 to 100 what percentage 0 to 100 were being absorbed, okay? Well, as it turned out, and I know this makes vegans unhappy, but I'm just giving you the science, that something like in a pea protein, which is a protein, the absorption of those 20 amino acids was only 10% out of 100. What about the other 90%? It's actually turned into toxic waste. It has a name. They're called nitrogen catabolites that the kidneys have to get rid of. Now let's shift gears and go to all animal proteins. Steak, chicken, liver, fish, swordfish, trout, I don't care what it is. It's 30% absorption. Now, in these medical studies, one of the reasons I'm going to tell you right now, they didn't allow anybody to exercise, and yet they lost weight 12 times faster than any of these diets you're talking about. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with absolutely no workout arrive. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. Thanks very much, Walt Wade. So I really want you all to understand this. My purpose as the researcher of the researchers is to bring you I didn't do the research. I'm bringing it to you. Somebody has to do it. So let's stay on this track about protein and the absorption of those 20 amino acids, okay? Now, if plant-based protein, you're getting 10%, with 90% you have to get rid of, the kidneys do, or steak, chicken liver, 30%, right? Well, the researchers found a source, 91% absorption. So again, that's why, for example, your quarter cup of carbs and all that, it all sounds good. But we need a 91% absorption of the amino acids, not just because we're getting 91%, because you have almost no waste. You almost have, so if you thought of protein like a walnut shell, when we ingest protein, the amount that is not converted to amino acid is the shell that if you've ever had, God forbid, a friend that was on kidney dialysis, they don't have any protein at all. So when these people are telling you have 120 grams of protein a day, if it's from steak or chicken or liver or fish, all of which I like, you're only getting 36 grams. And almost 86 grams or whatever, 84 grams are basically waste. Nitrogen catabolites. It's urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose. Who's telling you this? What are you holding on to? What belief system are you holding? Look, and here's the thing. You're doing what you know. You're showing, like, I think it was Jack or whatever. Jack, I'm totally on your side. But all we're trying to do is to show you something completely new. Yeah, see, exactly. But I will tell you, and I would say this, that we have people with kidney transplants doing this. Because again, the protein source is it's 91% pure amino acids with less than, 9% of protein. You don't have the waste. You have almost nothing to get rid of. And of course, I would never want you to do it we don't play doctor. We don't do that. We're not treating, diagnosing, making intimate claims whatsoever. We're giving you information, right? But again, user 8823768, whatever. It's a long number. That's why you could go and sign up for a free consultation. We're not there to sell you. We're not there to convince you. We're not there to bait and switch you. We're there to give you an opportunity to see an alternative. Because right now, user, in my case with the protein restriction, okay, so what can you do? You see what I'm saying? Because the problem is that amino acids are the building blocks of life. Just to give you an idea, the three of us, not the three of us, what am I talking about? I'm losing my mind here. Wait a minute. The key becomes not what we're ingesting, but what we're absorbing. Whether it's medicine, whether it's nutrients, it doesn't matter. Okay? So what the researchers focused on was, let's give the body enough nutrition. That was really their fundamental principle. As it turned out, the people in these studies consume more calories than people in the diets they compared them to, including they compared this to the Mediterranean diet, which has been rated the #1 diet 7 years in a row, not time-restricted eating, not keto, not paleo. So that's what they compared to. Well, it took people 8 months to lose 10 pounds on the Mediterranean diet. These people with no exercise in these studies lost 16 pounds in a month, no, right, it doesn't tax your kidneys. But again, I certainly want you to check with your doctor before. We don't play doctor. I don't even play that on TV, and I've been on TV an awful lot. So the whole idea here is to say, look, you have an opportunity, okay? If you choose, you can go to our website for free. You can still see it up there, the New Health Conversation. Look at all the medical proof. It may or may not be for you. So what we don't do is, if you go to that website, we don't harass you. We don't need to. We just go and we give you the evidence. And if you like what you see, you can sign up for a free consultation. It's that simple. There's nothing more complicated about that than this. I mean, nothing more, whatever I'm saying, okay? So to wrap up this, let's wrap it all up now, okay? So what we hopefully proved today is we at least pointed out why diets are failing us with the best intentions. I don't care what the name of the diet is, but at the end of the day, you can't have 80% of America overweight and 50% obese if diets worked in any mad stretch of the imagination. We've provided you with a free website where you can go. So 90%, I'm sorry, I would say of the people who go to the website, who then sign up for free consultation, I'd say more than 90% decide they want to do the protocol. Okay, the website, okay. There it is right there. Somebody put it up for me, the New Health Conversation. You can go there, absolutely digital passive wealth for free and see everything. I have a 6-pack. Yeah, but here's the other problem, William. Unfortunately, whether you know it or not, there's a new term. It's called normal weight obesity, or what's called visceral obesity. It is impossible, William, that you have this condition, whether you know it or not. Your 6-pack does nothing to combat the toxins caused by deficiency. You're not overweight, granted. But if you don't think you have chemicals in your body, you're sadly mistaken. And no diet, no exercise program has ever been proven to remove 1 ounce, 1 gram of a toxin, period. End of this. Not my opinion. So, William, I don't give you opinions. If you have a 6-pack, congratulations. But if you think you get a pass because of that, that's not true. Major studies say just because you're thin doesn't mean you're healthy. And this new condition called normal weight obesity based on visceral obesity is really important. Look, I work with professional athletes, NFL football players. You talk about a 6-pack. So I have a fitness, one of the top celebrity fitness trainers in the whole world, who started at 12% body fat. Maybe you're there, maybe you're less, right? But still, that's pretty damn good. In 14 days, he went from 12% body fat to 5% body fat and gained 5 pounds of lean muscle in 14 days. This is someone already in amazing shape who does, organic and works out 7 days a week, probably like you do. And congratulations on your 6-pack. I think that's fantastic. But the main reason to do it's not a weight loss program. I'm glad you brought that up, William, because people think for some reason this is another diet. It's not a diet. We're proving again and again why diets are failing us, because the whole concept of a diet of lowering calories is complete nonsense. Let me join. I'm not sure hopefully you're joining, and you can go to the New Health Conversation. You can see it right there, and you can sign up for a free consultation if you want. Alan, you probably missed a lot. And I'm not sure what let me join is, so please, fill me in on that. But again, I was kind of wrapping up the whole thing. So we started out showing you the proof from people like, and I'll pull it up one more time just to give you a quick review here. We started out with Harvard Medical School saying stop counting calories, okay? The idea of calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories you're consuming, okay? Then we went over study after study. One of the most revealing ones was done in the New England Journal of Medicine. It was a 12-month study based on one group of people lowered calories in, calories out. The other group did time-restricted eating. This is a 12-month study. I'm only reading from the medical study. I'm not giving you an opinion. So after 12 months, the people who did calories in, calories out lost in a year, this is in a year, 16 pounds. And the people that did time-restricted eating lost 12.6 in a year, 12 pounds in a year. But here was the downside. Both the time-restricted eating and daily caloric restriction diets led to the loss of lean muscle mass. This is every diet out there. That's why people plateau. That's why they come off the diet and they gain everything back because they can't burn as many calories. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is we know that it's also lowering, interfering with our own immune system. See, the key is whether you're in shape or you're not in shape, you still need, there are certain things you've got to have. For example, like I know, Balt Wade, I know it is, but he did. Yeah, in 14 days, believe it or not. Yeah. So, look, I do this. I've been doing this for 21 years. For 20 years, I had no defense. People couldn't believe it. But you got to understand, now we have 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies backing up everything we're saying. It's irrefutable evidence. It's over. In the studies, they proved people gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Granted, it was in 8 weeks. Where obviously, if you're really in incredible shape, like the one guy that's at, he's ripped, et cetera, or my trainer who started at 12%, I would kill to be 12% body fat. I'm a little older than him, et cetera, right? No, actually, exercise has been proven, okay, that the muscle mass is actually created a combination. Maybe you know this, the combination of the resistance of the exercise. But without one of the 20 amino acids called leucine, you're not going to make much muscle, okay? So one of the things that but keep in mind, I want to 882376. These people were not allowed to exercise at all, no exercise. They wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So imagine if you worked out, and the researchers aren't against working out. Can you imagine what kind of muscle mass you'd build if you were doing resistance or strength training along with, because they found a source that has 91% absorption of leucine, which is the thing you need to make muscle in the first place. I mean, if you know, it sounds like you're knowledgeable. So these bodybuilders, what are they doing? They're consuming 1 to 2 grams of protein for every pound they weigh, trying to get more leucine. Well, they're destroying their kidneys and they don't even know it. Because depending on what source they're getting, okay, I mean, they've been tested. They've tested some like the most expensive shakes on the planet. You know what the absorption of the aminos was? 5%. Not my opinion, okay? So again, imagine if they're doing, they typically are doing shakes a lot, or they're doing steak and chicken liver. It's so inefficient. The difference, here's a good example. So in Denver, gas is about $4 a gallon. And making this up, but down the street, there's a gas station at $6 a gallon. And leucine, exactly. You got it, leucine. So anyway, and I pull in and say, what are you guys doing? They said, no, Peter, you can pay $4 a gallon, go 20 miles. Or you can pay $6 a gallon, go 100 miles. That's what the body responds to. We're giving it 20 mile a gallon of energy, let's call it. We're only supplying it with, it's an analogy, okay? I'm just 20 miles versus the same amount of calories producing 100 miles or 100 times the efficiency in the body. That's why this worked. But you got to understand, it wasn't just like, hey, let's do organic. Here's 3 meals to lose weight. This was after 38 years of research. They figured out what didn't work. What didn't work was relying, even if it was organic, it didn't have enough nutrition. So now when you lowered the amount of food, you lowered nutrition, the body freaked out and went in starvation mode. And every time in starvation mode, what is it doing? The body's trying to survive. So it goes and looks for the nutrition. Where does it find it? In our muscles. Breaks our muscles down, converting them into what? Carbohydrates for fuel. slowing down the metabolism. And it's not just your metabolism when you're working out. That's important. But the most important metabolism to all of us is what's called our basal metabolic rate. That's the rate at which you burn calories when you're sleeping, resting, sitting at your desk, sitting at your computer. So they basically, in essence, are going to, according to them, they said they'll never recommend to one of their patients a conventional diet again. That's not my opinion. If you go to the website, I'm going to put it up there one more time, there's an interview with the top nutritional researcher in the world, the New Health Conversation. You can watch the interview. Watch him say it. Yeah, the New Health Conversation. You can go there for free and you can see all the math. But you don't believe me. I'm not the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. But he is, and he's saying they'll never recommend tradition. It doesn't matter. Keto, paleo, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, eat for your blood type, Atkins, fasting, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers. They've looked at them all. They're never going to recommend any traditional diet. They said it would be unethical for us not to put people on what we now have after 38 years to prove there's nothing in the world like this. It's up to you. So, G-Man, you missed a lot of it. What we proved was this podcast was about this. Diets are failing us, and this new revolutionary new protocols where men and women with no exercise lost as much weight in a week as 8 weeks of any diet, lost as much weight in a month as anybody on a year in a diet. Instead of losing lean muscle mass, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. I mean, with 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Nobody in the world ever, these researchers, they're the top researchers in the world. They discovered this, okay? They don't sell anything. It's not like they get a commission from the grocery store or from these foods that they located from around the world from, fulfillment companies who had done the research on finding foods that had tremendous amounts of nutrition. It's becoming more and more and more important every day that we don't concentrate on calories, but here's the evidence. There's 7 different studies. There are anywhere from, I'm not sure what the oldest one is, a couple of years at the most, because again, the thing is in peer-reviewed studies, they take a long time before they actually get published. But the other thing that's interesting before I close is the people in these studies, they've maintained their weight loss now for a couple of years. So it wasn't just like flash in the pan, they lost all this weight quickly and gained it all back. Well, thanks, Wade. I really appreciate that. So anyway, I'm going to sign off for everybody. Well, I'm going to sign off, period. But again, the last thing that I would say to all of you, if you want, you can go to the New Health Conversation and you can see the medical evidence. And if you like what you see, you get to choose. Yeah, I do 3 to 4 of these a day, that's for sure. So anyway, I hope it's been helpful to you. I hope it's been informative, and I look forward to having you share this information. And if you did like it, you can go to my TikTok and like it. That helps me because I've only been doing these podcasts on TikTok for about 5 weeks, and we've had an amazing reception. So anyway, all of you have a wonderful day. I'm signing off now, and away we go.